Taste of Supreme, welcome. Magnolia Crescent, welcome, welcome. Come on in the room. We're going to talk about a little bit about proper handling of people. I've been seeing a lot of people just not understanding the power in properly handling people and situations. And not that they may even listen, but I thought I'd share it because a lot of times when we see people doing things, sometimes it's good for us to go over it. So walaikum salam. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for chiming in. Carrie, Jihad, welcome. Nafisa Mina, welcome. Come on in. How's y'all week starting off? Everybody's week going good? I hope so. Make sure you stay prayed up and cover yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about proper handling of people today. We'll give it a couple minutes for a few people to chime on. I didn't announce what time I was going to be on, so some people are maybe late coming to the party. Magnolia Crescent said, great, thank Allah. That's right. So anyway, I wanted to talk about proper handling of people. Let me put that in the comments here. Divinely Chosen 35, welcome. I have my iPad turned on its side and the keyboard is over here. So that's why I'm looking like this. Proper handling of people. I'm bringing this up today and wanting to just go over just that first chapter. Because let me say something. It doesn't matter who you think you are or where you think you come from, how we think we look. It doesn't matter, because one thing about God, He has the power and the ability, and we've seen that He will skip over those of us that think we know Him. And He will bless somebody who don't even know Him. Somebody who ain't even up in His face. And skip over those of us that think that we are the best Christians and the best Muslims. And He'll skip over us. So keep that in mind. Let's not get beside ourselves. Because what I see a lot is people in positions, whether they have a business and they think they all that because they got a business, or they think they all that because they've been elected to a political office, or they think they all that because of whatever they're using to make them think that they're better than the next person, or whatever blessing they've been given that they're not properly handling. So all of a sudden now they're using that to think that they're better than the next person. You better get that together. You really better get that together, because all of that is vibrational and all of that is karma. Welcome, Emoji Titan. Sorry, I missed a few of y'all. A light giving sun, welcome. So I just want to talk a little bit about the proper handling of people. These first 3 points are under a key point that's called fundamental technique of handling people. And when you think about just handling somebody, like how you deal with them, how you make them feel, being emotionally intelligent, we should all be elevated to that next level, to where we're not backbiting people and gossiping people and hurting people, even though that's the way of life in pop culture. We shouldn't be engaged in that. We should really be open And all of us, nobody's stupid. All of us can tell when you talking to somebody, if they done said something about you, or done did something, or they got an issue. Everybody knows. Nobody's stupid. So you ain't fooling nobody. But anyway, let's talk about this. Proper handling of people as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad. The fundamental technique of handling people. I'm going to read these 3 points, and you all can comment. We're going to talk about it. Number 1, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Number 2, give honest, sincere appreciation. And number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. Now, you ever talk to people and all they do is criticize other people? And they may be so skilled and be so good with their deceptive intelligence that you know they're criticizing, but they're so good at it that you stay on the phone. Or you know that they're condemning or they're constantly complaining, but you just kind of hang through it. I'm not talking about strategizing. I'm not talking about analyzing. I'm not even talking about dealing with your emotions and your feelings if somebody hurts you. I'm talking about just condemning and criticizing for no apparent reason. The bronze 2 and gold, welcome, welcome. That's what I'm talking about. That's not the best way to handle people. Again, when you criticize, condemn, and complain about somebody, Mommy Activist said this is so important to handle people according to their needs if you can. Yeah, when you criticize, condemn, and complain about somebody, you're creating a vibration that person feels when they come into your presence. You're creating a vibration within yourself that causes you to make adjustments in how you act around them. It's causing you to make adjustments in how you deal with them, whether it's a professional setting, whether it's a family setting, whether it's just some interpersonal or family setting. You are making adjustments. See, a lot of people go, well, I got a mind like Muhammad, or I got a Christ-like mind. No, you don't, if you're not properly handling people. You don't. I like Giving Son said, all praise is due to Allah. Thank you for this message. I'm so in need of this. Thank you. You're welcome. Give honest and sincere appreciation. One thing about me, if you know me, if you don't know anything about me, I'm going to let you know how much I appreciate you. I'm not going to go overboard, but I'm going to let you know. I spend most of my time, whether it's people who work with me, saying thank you. And I don't let people change. I've had a lot of people lately freak out on me and trip out on me. And I know it's because of the preparation that God is doing with me and preparing me for that next level. And a lot of people's demons have showed, their horns are showing, they start acting crazy, but you can see that as soon as you come around. But if you're in public service or you're dealing with customers, be honest and don't criticize and condemn or complain against people, because guess what? When they come into your store, they feel it. When you get ready to make a decision, if you're a teacher, if you work with children, or you're responsible for other people, that condemnation and that way in which you handle them first in your mind is going to impact your decisions. So a lot of times, even with your own children, you may not be handling them properly because you spend so much time complaining that you're really impacted when it comes to making the decision and it comes to those personal interactions. Okay, let's go to the second part. Ways to make people like you. Everybody wants to know this, right? Everybody wants to be liked. People want to be respected. People want to know that they matter. So let's read this. There's 5 points. Become genuinely interested in other people. You got some people that don't care nothing about nobody else. If you talk to them on the phone, they will go on and on and on about their situation. But as soon as you say something about what you're going through, or if you going through something and you really need somebody to talk to, they ain't trying to hear it, because they're over consumed oftentimes with what's going on with themselves. And guess what? That is not a way to make people like you. You have to be genuinely interested in other people. And the messenger says, become genuinely interested in other people. Why? Because it makes sense. You should want for your brother or sister what you want for yourself. Be interested in their success. There are times when I talk to people on the phone and they want to talk to me about something. I don't say anything about what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm going through. I may inject a few examples here and there, but for the most part, I let it be about them because I don't have to be in the forefront of the conversation. I'm really genuinely interested oftentimes in how other people are doing. And that's how we should be. We should smile. When last time y'all smiled? Who's smiling right now? Do you smile at yourself in the mirror in the morning? Smile. Smile is a communication tool. It's attractive. You get a lot more out of people when you smile. Number 3, remember that a person's name is to them the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Most of us don't care about people enough to where we don't even know their names or we don't even say their names. And even just saying someone's name and showing that genuine care and concern, a lot of us could really just care less. And I'm telling you, if you're in a situation where there's people you reach out to on a regular basis and you know they really could care less about you, stop reaching out to them. If a person isn't giving you back what you're giving to them in terms of just care and concern, friendship, relationship, then just back up off of it. Doesn't mean you still can't be friendly. It doesn't mean that you can't be nice, but back up off of it. Here's the 4th one. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Didn't we just say that? And number 5, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Everybody wants to know that they matter. Nobody wants to come around and come into a situation and not feel that they matter. People want to feel important because their issues, their challenges, what they're dealing with and what they're going through is important to them. And so they should know, if you want to be in a good relationship with somebody, that what's important to them is also important to you. Why is it important to you and I? Because we care about them. We genuinely care about them, as the messenger says here. So what's important is important. And brother says in here, the art of listening, that's critical. You hear this age-old saying, oftentimes people are so busy trying to figure out what they're going to say to respond to you that they don't even hear what you're saying. And what I try to do when I'm listening to somebody, I try to listen to what they're saying. I try to listen to what they're not saying. I try to listen to what they form, what words and what adjectives they use. You usually can tell a lot when you just settle down and listen. And for that moment when you're listening to that person, just forget about yourself. Let yourself go. Let your ego go. See, the thing about the ego is so nasty because it wants to be special. No matter what, no matter time. They just want to be special. And we don't always have to be special. We don't have to make everything about us. You don't always have to put yourself in. And maybe that's not always the best way to be of service to somebody. That's not always the best way to be a friend. You don't have to put yourself in it all the time. You don't have to. So here's the next one. Next section. Number 3, ways to win people to your way of thinking. I cover in it's on one of my podcasts. I think it was on the manifestation class, the art of negotiating. And the art of negotiating means that you learn to negotiate so that both sides win. Okay? You learn that. You learn so that both sides are winning. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, because oftentimes when we get into our egoic state where the ego wants to be special, the ego will do anything in order to be special. When we get into that space, oftentimes we have an inordinate view of ourselves, as the study guides say to us, and all of a sudden the other person doesn't matter. Nothing matters other than what it is that we want. And oftentimes that's the test. That's the test right there. Because when we make ourselves more important or more important than what we should be, oftentimes we miss that the opportunity to help somebody and be of service to somebody is right there in our face. And that may be the source of our greatest blessings. That may be the source of whatever it is that we want. So let's go over these. Number 1, these are the proper handling of people. Chapter 1 is taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Section 3, ways to win people to your way of thinking. Number 1, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Ooh, sometimes that can be tough, right? Sometimes you just are mad and you want to argue. Excuse me. Sometimes you're just mad and you want your way. But he says the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Excuse me. Here's the next part. Part 2. Show respect for the other person's opinion. Never tell a person that they are wrong. You know how some people just bust out and be like, you wrong. But see, that's where you're wrong. And people get really upset when you do that. Show respect for their opinion. Because based on where they are at that moment, that makes sense to them. And I try to allow people the grace to be where they are based on where they are with their spiritual development and their growth. And if we're in different spaces or in different locations, then I let people be where they need to be. Number 3, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. So just say, I have no problem saying, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I think I got that wrong. Or if somebody says something, I may make a statement, and then they may make another statement, and I say, you know what, you're right. And that's okay. That don't take away nothing from your intelligence. It's okay. Begin in a friendly way. So be friendly. Be friendly with people. Start off your conversation being friendly. That don't mean being slapsticky, but be friendly. Get the other person saying yes, yes, immediately. So you want to find some common ground and take the high road. You find that common ground with somebody and find that point where the two of you can agree. And agree on it. And as they said, get the person to saying yes, yes. Number 6, let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. That's hard for a lot of us because some of us are so ego-driven. I can't tell you how many times I've come up with an idea or I'll do something and somebody will come to me and say, yeah, you know, I had that idea. Or I'll hear them say, I was talking to Sister Sajda and I remember when she had that idea. I was right there. And they feel like they can start taking credit for it. And a lot of times I just go, that's fine. Because if it was really your idea, then you'd be able to execute on it. So it's okay. But that's a very hard thing for us to do, is to let other people feel that the idea is theirs. Number 7, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. When you're sitting down in a situation, in a conference room, at a boardroom, at a meeting, stop running your mouth. Loose lips sink ships. I'm going to tell y'all who said that to me. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to me one day, he said, loose lips sink ships. I knew what he was talking about. And I then went in the process of tightening up my circle, learning how to connect and interact with people, but not talking so much. So if you ever see me in a meeting, I'm usually studying and learning and making sure that my points are key, unless I'm running the meeting. And of course, if I'm running the meeting, then I usually try to lay out an agenda or a strategy so that I can flow with it. But you just have to be careful. Loose lips sink ships. Let the other people do the great deal of the talking. Okay? Number 8, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. If you don't have empathy, if you're not emotionally intelligent enough to see where another person is coming from, even if you feel like they wrong as two left shoes, you should still be able to see where they're coming from. That don't mean you have to agree with it. That doesn't mean you're down with where they're coming from, but you should be able to see it. I get it. This is, she's doing this or he's doing this because such and such happened, or whatever explanation they said. Accept it. Get it. Get into it. Let them say, okay, this is why I'm doing it, and you should be like, I'm empathetic with it. Be empathetic. Always put yourself in somebody else's shoes. If you have the ability to come out of your emotional body and put yourself into the emotional body of another person, you will always, 9 times out of 10, come out on top. See, that's playing chess and not checkers. Take yourself out of your emotional body and put yourself into that person's emotional body. What is that going to do? It's going to help you serve them better. It's going to help you negotiate better. It's going to help you win. But it's going to help you. When you stuck in your own emotional body and your emotions are confining you at the moment, you can't really think outside of that box. So everything you think about is connected to or anchored to where you are emotionally. But if you can get up out of there and leave that emotional body and go somewhere else, you can see things from a whole nother perspective. So when you come back to yourself, now you know how to move forward. Okay. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Appeal to the nobler motives. And then when it comes time to present your ideas, it's showtime. Dramatize your ideas and throw down a challenge. You guys can't agree, say, hey, I challenge you. But be passionate about your ideas. See, part of our problem is that we are so afraid that somebody's going to steal our idea that we don't even talk. But there's a way. You have to find a strategic way to be able to share your idea without giving away all of it. You hear me talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, but you guys don't know everything that we're planning on putting there in the museum. With that, make sure that you guys support. You can Cash App us. You can donate. Somebody put that in the chat for me. SajdaHouse.com or SajdaHouseDonations.com. And make sure you like and subscribe to the Sajda Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. All right, and then here's section 4. It's going to be the last section we're going to talk about. And I'll take your questions if you put them in the chat after I read these 9 points. The 4th section says, ways to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. This is very key if you're in leadership, because you have to be able to change people or influence people or get people to see another way without offending them or creating resentment. Number 1, begin with praise and honest appreciation. There's nothing wrong with complimenting somebody. You can say that. It's okay. Number 2, call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. So there's ways in which you can do that. You can say, you know what? It looked like you mistakenly put this in the wrong place. May I show you where it should go? See, sometimes you take people off their defense mechanism when you're just nice to them. You know what? It looks like you accidentally forgot to do XYZ. Maybe you can set a reminder or give them a suggestion on something. But there's a way that you point out. Don't be accusatory or offensive when you point out somebody's wrong. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. So even though you know that you have something that you want somebody to do, whether it's an employee or a staff member or somebody that works with you, your husband, your wife, your children, and maybe you see them doing the wrong thing, ask questions. See, a lot of times when you pose the question, the person is smart enough to figure out the correct answer in the first place. Or they're smart enough to understand where you're coming from, and they already know what your answer is going to be to the question they're asking you if you're asking certain questions. This is just a way of dialoguing so that you get more out of it than just yes, no, maybe. Because a lot of people like to be ambiguous in relationships, but you can't really develop the emotions and feelings when you're ambiguous. So you got to give more by asking questions and answering questions. Let the other man save face. Don't always embarrass somebody. Don't be so quick to bust somebody out. If you're sensitive enough to sense that they get it, they got it, they know what they did wrong, or if you can just have some empathy on your part, let it happen. There's a time and place for everything. That way, when you do get in their face and when you get on their backside, they'll know it's for real. It won't look like you just always fussing. I'm not telling you to always turn the other cheek. That's not what we're saying here. We're talking about the ideal ways in which to develop relationships. There's times where you may have to be a little bit harder, but those times aren't all the time. Praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Be hearty in your appreciation and lavish in your praise. Compliment your employees. Compliment your children. Praise them for what they're doing. Make them feel good. People want to know that they matter. People want to know that they matter. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. That's either through you being an example and having a good reputation, or through just the examples that you set up for them. But give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. I always tell people, everything you're working on, every challenge you're facing, it's just a math problem. Come on, let's sit down. Let's figure out the math. And number 9, make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. That's tough because a lot of times we ain't even happy ourselves. So it's hard to transfer happiness to another person. All of this stuff requires that you have a certain level of security and that you're happy and excited about life yourself. The biggest impediment that I see with us is we're arrogant. We're so arrogant, and somehow we've learned that we can manipulate people into what we want. Do you know that if you manipulate people into doing what it is that you want them to do, they're going to resent you? And believe it or not, people do it in the most weirdest situations. They could be trying to take somebody out on a date and they try to manipulate them into it. They could be just trying to get you to purchase something that you already like, and they think they have to manipulate you. We have to, these are ways of thinking, and I don't know where this comes from. I think it is another thing that's popular in pop culture, where we are manipulative. And it's because we almost are afraid that a person is going to say no. We're so afraid of no. And I always tell my team, what's the worst that can happen? The worst is that they just say no. And so we're not healthy in how we approach our professional relationships. We're manipulative. Some of us are antagonistic. Some of us have to make a person smaller than us in order for us to feel dominant. And then we feel good. We feel good in business. Like, okay, or if something happens and we want somebody to help us, we think that if we talk enough smack and make them think, well, this could happen to you too, we use fear. It's like, no, I'm vibrating at a different level. I ain't got no problem being there for you, but I'm vibrating over here. But you can't be afraid or ashamed if something happens and you need somebody to help you. Go ahead and ask. But you don't have to try to be manipulative. These are things that impact the trust in the relationship. You ever met somebody and you've known them a long time, you all work together, but they're just manipulative, and you see them do certain little things that just aren't right, or that just aren't honest, or you see them kind of just bullying their way through things, and you just kind of go, I like them, but it's just something about them. Something about them. Anybody got any questions or comments in the chat about this? I just wanted to remind us about this. Proper handling of people. I infused the proper handling of people in our HR policies in the last business that I built. When I put together the HR manual, I made sure that elements from proper handling of people were in there. I didn't say at the top of it, HR manual as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad, but I made sure that the elements of these beautiful teachings were in there. See, listen, a lot of us want businesses. A lot of us want to do better. But there's no way up out of this unless we put supreme wisdom. We got to learn the mind of Christ. We have to learn the mind of Muhammad. It's taught so beautifully to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in all of the lessons that he gave us. It's taught beautifully to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the detailed study guides. Those study guides entitled Self-Improvement, the Basis for Community Development, are something that I think should be required reading for every Black person in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of his followers. I'm saying that because they're just that good. Let's see. Why do you think that our people have such a hard time dealing with being told no? So I have a couple theories on that. In certain aspects, we are very spoiled. We were brought to this country. The entire country, really the world economic system, both in Europe and in here, the West and here, the Europe and here in the West, was built on our backs. And so we were abused and traumatized, and we lived in that continual state of abuse and traumatization, and it's become hypnotic to the point where the repetitive actions have hypnotized us into believing that we can't do certain things or that we aren't going to be allowed to do certain things. And so when we step out and decide to do something, our biggest fear is that we can't do it. Our biggest fear is that somebody's going to say no. But guess what? Once you get over that fear of somebody saying you can't do it, that fear of somebody telling you no, then you're on your way. You're on your way. But we're afraid to be told no because we then begin to define something. We define ourselves by that no before we even go into the situation. We don't go into the situation saying, I don't care if you say no or not. I don't care if you think I can do this or not. I'm going to do it and I'm going to find a yes. A lot of times we don't go into it with that. We go into it defining ourselves as the person that they're saying no to. And so we come to the table already primed with no. We don't want to be that person, but when they tell us no, that approves who we think we are. Here's another theory on that. When you're spoiled and somebody takes away your ability to do for self and take care of yourself, and you haven't been able to take care of yourself for now several centuries, not able to be independent, what happens is that you then begin to expect that somebody else is going to take care of you. Because you're like, since you took away my ability to take care of myself, I don't know how to take care of myself. I'm expecting you to take care of me. It's a childlike state. And so when you say no to a child, there's a reaction that we wouldn't say is mature. And a lot of times we have those immature reactions to no, primarily because we're immature ourselves and we think the person is saying something about us with that no statement. So if I say to you, hi, I'm selling cell phones. Would you like to purchase a cell phone? And you say, no, I don't want no cell phone. I can just go, okay. And the quicker you say no, the better for me, because then I can get on down the block and ask the next person to buy the cell phone. I can get that puts me one step closer to the person who's going to say yes. But if I think that you think I ain't nothing, I'm a low down, dirty salesperson, or if I think that you think you got power over me, then you by saying no is you exercising your power. And now I'm mad. Guess what? You're going to say yes. Somebody going to say yes. I'm going to get what I want, and I'm going to get what I'm ordained to have. There's nothing you can do about it, because what's for me is for me. So when I come to you, I'm expecting yes. And if you say no, I'm going to just assume that we ain't vibrating right. So either I got to get you to vibrate on the right level, or there's somebody else that's going to say yes. That's why those are just some of my theories on why we're so afraid of no. But we get really, really worked up. I work with a lot of coaching clients, and one of the biggest things that they have a fear of is being told no. What's the worst they can do? They just gonna say no. That's the worst. It ain't no worse than what you are now. If you're in need and somebody say no, they're not gonna help you, you're still in need. It ain't gonna make it worse. But we gotta have more faith than that. We have to know the God that we serve, and that he's not going to ever forsake us. We have to know that. All right. Any other questions, comments about anything and proper handling of people? Tune in Thursday to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show on the Sajda Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about ancient trade routes. I want us to start thinking as a continuation of just kind of some of the things we've been covering, just how we establish this ecosystem, how important it is for us to do it, how we can do it, that we can do it, the fact that it's been done before, and so that we don't think that we got to get society's approval. We don't think we got to stop thinking that we need unification in order to be united. We can unite behind a common cause, a common goal. We don't have to believe the same. I can have my belief system. I don't have to walk around thinking I'm better than you. I'm secure in my Islam. I can go to church with you and still come out and be a Muslim. In fact about it, when I leave the church with you, I'm going to be a better Muslim than I was before I went in. See, we got to be just that secure. I know that I'm a God. So if I go somewhere with you, it ain't got nothing to do with you, but every step of the way, I'm going to be reassuring myself and testing out my godhood. So I don't have to be afraid of you saying no. It's interesting because God is always testing us. He's always trying us. He's always checking to see, are we ready? He gives us a chance to tweak things. Every time something happens to me, I retreat into my little corner and I start going, all right, what can I tweak? What do I need to tweak about myself? What do I need to fix? And I ask God, I say, okay, Allah, what would you like me to fix? What can I do better? How can I advance? How can I be a better conduit to you? I know I'm not all knowing, so it's got to be something that you just want me to tweak. I know you're preparing me for greatness. I know you're working to take me to that next level. I know I asked you if I could represent you and be a conduit, and I know you're preparing me for that. And I'm grateful and I love you, and I know that whatever situation I'm in, you can turn it around in a wink, a blink of an eye, with a nod. I know that. And so that's the confidence that I walk in. And so when it comes to thinking about this proper handling of people, I'm not afraid about whether or not to apply it. I don't have to jump into manipulation or jump into anything negative in order to get a person to do what I want, because I'm striving to do what he wants me to do. Because at the end of the day, I showed up on the planet for a reason. You showed up on the planet for a reason. We're here, we're interacting with people. There's energies and vibrations that we're supposed to connect with and interact with that are going to make us better, that are going to try us, that are going to create struggle, that help us better define what it is that we want. So I'm grateful for the path. So anyway, Thursday, we're going to talk about these ancient trade routes. So make sure you like and subscribe to the Sajda Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. Saturday, I'm still working on whether or not I'm going to do another Woman of the Bible series. I'm going to work on that tonight and figure that out. And I ask that you all please make sure you support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. You can make a donation by going to Cash App, which is $Motoday, MOETODAY. Or if you want to use your credit card, just go to SajdaHouseDonations.com. And if you want one of those beautiful commemorative Elijah coins, did I bring mine with me? I didn't bring it with me. If you want a beautiful commemorative Elijah coin made of copper from the messenger's home, just go to SajdaHouse.com. And if you want to be a sponsor if you want your name in the house, if you want your name installed, if you will, or put in there permanently as a sponsor of a room, of a technology, of anything, send me an email and I'll send you a sponsorship package and tell you how you can take your name and your family name and your company name and engrave it in here historically. So the email address is sajdahouse@gmail.com. You can sponsor the Great Room, which is the room where he met with Martin Luther King. You can sponsor the Dining Room, which is where the table talks were recorded. You can become one of the sponsors of the How to Eat to Live kitchen. You can sponsor the Augmented Reality Theater. We got a lot of opportunities for you. So you and your company, your name will be on a permanent plaque, and we have these big 6-foot iPads where your name can be scrolling down as a sponsor. And shout out to all of our sponsors so far. Y'all know I'm working my backside off to get this done. It's time, and I'm ready. And the finish line is in sight. So, all right, family, we'll see you all Thursday. And thank you for tuning in to this live discussion about proper handling of people. I hope it helped. Give me a thumbs up if it helped you. All right, peace and blessings.